What if I told you that a snake talked to me? Would you think I'm crazy? Let's take a step back and picture a scene from the Bible, specifically from Genesis, chapters 3 to 5. Here we have Eve, in the Garden of Eden, conversing with a slithering serpent. Quite the image, isn't it? Now, if I were to share a similar encounter with you today, you'd likely raise an eyebrow or even suggest a psychological evaluation. It's fascinating to consider how these ancient narratives, so deeply ingrained in our cultural and religious history, might be perceived through the lens of our modern understanding of the world. In this biblical tale, the serpent, often associated with Satan, says to Eve, "Your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Quite a profound statement, don't you think? But it's not just the words that are significant. It's the fact that they come from a snake, a creature not generally known for its conversational skills. This narrative is one of the most well-known in the Bible, a pivotal moment in the human journey, when Adam and Eve are said to have gained knowledge of good and evil, setting the stage for all of humanity's subsequent trials and tribulations. Yet, despite the gravity of this story, if you were to hear someone recount a similar experience today of a snake imparting wisdom or uttering divine proclamations, you'd likely question their sanity. It's intriguing to ponder how perceptions and societal norms have evolved over time. These tales from the Bible, though they may seem fantastical or even absurd to some, carry profound lessons and truths that continue to resonate with millions, even in our technologically advanced and scientifically informed age. They remind us of the power of faith, the complexity of morality, and the enduring mystery of the divine. So, if a snake talked to me today, you'd want to commit me for sure. But before you do, remember that these stories, as strange as they may seem, continue to hold deep meaning and significance for many around the world. Now, what if I mentioned to you that a donkey spoke to a man? Quite an opening, isn't it? But before you dismiss it as a figment of imagination, let's delve into an intriguing narrative from the Bible. The tale originates from the book of Numbers, specifically chapter 22 to 28. Here, we meet Balaam, a man who had a rather unique conversation with his donkey. Yes, you heard it right, his donkey. This isn't your typical everyday chit-chat. This donkey, with divine intervention, suddenly gains the ability to speak and holds a conversation with Balaam. The donkey questions why Balaam has struck him 3 times as he tries to divert Balaam from a path that an angel was blocking. In a rather surprising turn of events, Balaam finds himself in a serious dialogue with his donkey. Now, if we were to transpose this event onto our modern-day canvas, it's quite easy to imagine the skepticism it would face. If you or I were to announce at our next social gathering that we had a meaningful conversation with a donkey, we might find ourselves the center of some unwanted attention. The rational mind would undoubtedly question our sanity, our credibility, and possibly our sobriety. But this is the beauty and mystery of the biblical narratives. They often defy our conventional understanding of the world and challenge us to look beyond the obvious. They invite us to explore a realm where the extraordinary is possible, where divine intervention can make a donkey speak, and where such incidents carry profound lessons and messages. So, as we reflect on these tales, it's crucial to remember that they are not just stories, but narratives that have shaped centuries of belief, faith, and understanding. They are reminders of a world beyond our immediate perception, a world where miracles are possible, a world that is deeply interconnected with the divine. If I claimed that a donkey spoke to me, you'd probably think I need to be institutionalized. But then again, isn't it all about believing in the extraordinary, the divine, and the miraculous? Can you imagine a mother forgetting her child for 3 days? What would the world say? Let's ponder on this for a moment. It seems unimaginable, doesn't it? In our society today, such an act would be met with severe criticism, even legal repercussions. Yet, this is exactly what happened in the Bible, in the book of Luke, chapter 2, verses 41 to 52. Here we find the account of Mary and Joseph, who, after a festival in Jerusalem, set out on their journey back home, only to realize that their 12-year-old son Jesus was not with them. It took them an entire day of travel to finally notice his absence. Just picture that, a whole day without realizing their child was missing. In a frantic search, Mary and Joseph turned back, retracing their steps to Jerusalem. Now, this wasn't a quick trip. It took them another full day to get back to the city. So, we're looking at 2 days now, 2 days without their child, but the story doesn't end there. On the 3rd day, they finally found Jesus in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening and asking questions. Imagine that, a 12-year-old teaching in the temple, not just any 12-year-old, but Jesus, the Son of God. Now let's put this in perspective. If a mother today left her child behind for 3 days, the reaction would be swift and severe. There would be cries for justice, for punishment. Law enforcement would be involved, and the court of public opinion would be harsh. Yet, this happened with Jesus, the Son of God. Imagine losing your 12-year-old for 3 days. Law enforcement would definitely not view this kindly. But this is just one of many instances in the Bible where what seems outlandish or unbelievable to us today was simply part of the narrative, part of the divine plan, a plan that continues to unfold even in our modern times. Now imagine if I told you I was thrown into a fiery pit and didn't get burned. What would you think? It sounds like the stuff of legends, doesn't it? Well, it's not a tale from a fantasy novel, but a story straight out of the Bible. We're talking about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, 3 figures who stood up for their faith and came face to face with a fiery furnace. This story takes place in Daniel 3, verses 16 to 18. These 3 men were living in a time when King Nebuchadnezzar was in power. They were in a situation where they were expected to bow to a golden statue or face the consequences of disobedience. But they chose to stand firm in their faith, and as a result, they were thrown into a fiery furnace. Here's the kicker: they didn't get burned. Now, that's not something you hear every day, is it? In our world, if you're thrown into a fire, the expectation is that you'll get burned. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego emerged from the furnace unscathed. Even more astonishing, they weren't alone in the furnace. They were joined by a 4th figure, glowing like a son of the gods. This figure was believed to be an angel, or even a pre-incarnate appearance of Christ, protecting them from the flames. Now, if I claimed that I walked into a fire and emerged without a single burn, you'd probably think I was out of my mind. But this is what happened to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They faced the impossible, and they came out victorious. This story is a testament to the power of faith and the lengths to which God will go to protect those who trust in Him. It's a story that challenges our understanding of reality and what is possible. And it's a story that, even in our modern world, continues to inspire and encourage those who hear it. If I claimed that I survived a fiery furnace unscathed, you'd probably think I was out of my mind. And what if I said I heard a voice but saw no one? Would you think I'm delusional? Imagine for a moment a young boy named Samuel, who lived thousands of years ago. One night, as Samuel lay in the quiet darkness, a voice called out to him. Startled, he got up and ran to his mentor, Eli, thinking it was him calling. But Eli hadn't called Samuel, so he told the boy to go back to sleep. Yet the voice called Samuel again and again. He thought it was Eli, but it wasn't. On the 3rd time, Eli realized that it was the Lord who was calling the boy. He instructed Samuel to go back, lie down, and if he hears the voice again, to say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." And so it happened. The voice called out once more, "Samuel, Samuel," and this time Samuel replied as Eli had instructed. And thus Samuel heard the voice of God. Today, if a child or even an adult claimed to hear voices in their heads, they might be met with skepticism or even fear. They might be rushed to a psychiatrist, diagnosed with a mental disorder, and prescribed medication to silence the voices. But in the time of Samuel, it was understood that sometimes these voices might not be a sign of madness, but a message from the divine. So, in our modern world, where we seek scientific explanations for everything, Let's not forget the mysteries that science can't explain. Let's remember that sometimes what seems illogical or impossible might just be something beyond our current understanding. If God talks to you, you probably want to keep it to yourself unless you want to be labeled as crazy. And remember, there's more to our existence than meets the eye. There are mysteries, miracles, and messages that transcend our physical world. So, let's keep an open mind and an open heart to the divine possibilities. This video was made possible by Michael Hopkins, founder of Jehovah's House of Saints Homeless Mission. For more inspiring stories and messages, visit us at jehovahsaint.com.